Good morning to all once again. And it's a proud and pleasure to welcome you all on this platform. And we have arranged a second international webinar, and our dignitaries have joined us. And on behalf of NSS chapter Saffron, I welcome you all. And with pleasure and proud, I am welcoming all the participants who are attending second international webinar on genetic predisposition to addiction. We have always been learning that genetics is fairly related to medical disease condition or pediatric or gynecological disease condition. However, it has connection to other streams as well. Therefore, we thought of bringing awareness among all our nursing fellows regarding the role of genetics in different streams. I am proud student of my own teacher who would be enlightening us on this topic. I welcome our expert resource person, Dr. Sandhya Gupta. Welcome, ma'am. And I would extend my warm welcome to our international speaker, Ms. Ratinder Virk, who is joining us from Canada, and she would be sharing her experiences regarding genetic predisposition, what she has seen, the real-time cases she would be discussing with us. I extend my welcome to the most humble and supportive person of NSS, Dr. Binu Joy, who has always been available for any kind of help. He has always been most humble person I have ever seen. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. I welcome Dr. Subresh Khanna also, who is a founder member of NSS and whose motivation has always kept us moving. And due to time difference, madam would not be joining us, but she has sent her regards and wishes via recorded video. I welcome again all the participants, dignitaries and friends, and wish you all a happy learning. Now, I would like to request our National President, Dr. Binu Joy, to address the gathering. Over to you, sir. By the time sir joins us and wishes us the best of luck, I would like to share the regards from Dr. Subresh Khanna. I will request Manjeet Kaur to play madam's video. Audio is not there.
Namaskar, greetings from New York, USA. I'm so pleased to be here, a part of the Saffron's second international webinar on genetic predisposition to addiction. Very important and timely topic to be considered for this webinar. I'm so pleased to see all of you dignitaries, our founding president of NSS, Dr. Binu Joy, chapter president, Jyoti Gap, and her very talented team who have organized this webinar. I see that there are many experts who are going to present, and I would like to say best wishes to them and God's blessings. And let me read the names of all of you, if I can remember. Sandhya Gupta ji, and there is Ratinder Pal, there is Rupinder Kaur, Ramandeep Kaur, Manjeet Kaur, and if I forgot anybody's name, please excuse me. You all are welcome. And you all are experts, and some are past leaders, some are present leaders, and some are budding transformational leaders. All are working towards one goal, which is to maintain the high standards in giving the optimum care to our patients. Nurses are traditionally dedicated, committed, sincere, accredited, and have a credibility, responsibility, punctuality. All of these values are there and traits are there of this nursing profession. But being this present era of digital technology, we have shown that even in spite of these natural calamities, pandemics of COVID-19 and their variants, a lot of variants, still through this digital technology we can reach and communicate with each other. I'm sitting here at this present moment in Canada. We'll be going back next week, sometimes to USA back home. But all the same, I see Mr. Burke from Canada. Congratulations to be part of this webinar. Our all the stalwarts, nursing leaders who are trying to enhance our mission of NSS, which is care of the caregiver, and continuing the ball rolling by maintaining these expectations of the national NSS that doing the activities, presenting the research papers, and sharing our knowledge to give optimum care to our patients. And those standards which were laid 200 plus years ago by our founding mother, Florence Nightingale. Now, coming back to this addiction part, addiction is of many kinds, as you know. It can be a food, but the worst kind is drugs. And that addiction has taken a toll on our Indian people, especially in Punjab. I'm not going to blame or point fingers on that since they have a lot of very immigrants in different Western countries, in European countries, and have an easy access to buy these drugs. I don't know what are the main reasons and why this is a more problem in Punjab state especially. There are other states also in Mumbai and in other states, but we have to take a piece of the pie and address are these circumstantial or are these having a genetic connotations. So researchers are looking and going deep into these problems that why these are more in some areas, more in youth in some areas than in other areas. So you will be listening all these special topics and more knowledge on this, more learning about addiction and genetic connotations. And so I'm very pleased that we are addressing these topics. So my blessings, my best wishes and God's blessings to you all, and have a wonderful, productive day of webinar. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And I appreciate madam's enthusiasm for sharing her views, and though she is far away from us, but she always takes an effort to be connected with us. Now I request our National President for Nursing Scholar Society, Dr. Binu Jo, to share some views about it and address the audience. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Namaste. Sorry for little connectivity issues. And thank you for introducing me in such a humble way. Actually, thank you very much. So respected, a very honorable dignities, Professor Jyoti ma'am, Principal, College of Nursing, Chandigarh, President of our own Saffron chapter of Nursing Scholar Society, and a well-known, renowned personality, renowned speaker where we all nursing fraternity very well know her, Dr. Sandhya Gupta ma'am, very leading personality. It's very blessings to hear from the madam. The speaker, the international speaker from Canada, Dr. Ratinder Parkol. I'm very thankful all of you have come forward to speak on the genetic predisposition. I'm very congratulate all the organizing team members for planning for such a wonderful conference, which is need for the hour. Yes, as we tell, prevention is always better than cure. Half of the diseases can be prevented if we focus on the preventive aspects. So a very timely conference, you understand the genetic susceptibility, majority of the diseases which we can prevent it. So genetic susceptibility has a great role to find out various disease orders of specifically of the heart, diabetes mellitus, cancer, asthma. So really a very timely conference which has been organized by Jyoti ma'am. She's really a great torchbearer of our society. From the bottom of heart, she's working 7 into 24 hours for the society. This Nursing Scholar Society was founded basically by Dr. Suresh Narakhanda. You have heard her beautiful speech. She's actually ready for nursing community. She's like an angel for the nursing fraternity. I request all of you to get a time, you put a message to her. I think within 15 minutes, you will get a message back from the angel of the, which I specifically feel she's an angel for the divine profession. She made me to start this society with the theme nurse, that is care to the caregivers. We need to take care. We all are busy in this world. We don't care our own nurses. Our own fraternity, we need to look after. So with this theme, we started this society that is care to the caregivers. We should help each other. So I'm very thankful to the organizers and specifically Jyoti ma'am for organizing such a wonderful conference, genetic susceptibility leading to an addiction. I will not talk much about the theme and the conference because a great legend personality, Dr. Sandhya Gupta ma'am, she's really a very lady with a great heart and a lady with a great professional ethics and a great knowledge. So it will be great to hear from Dr. Sandhya Gupta related to today's theme and conference. And it will is a great plan that the speaker from Canada, we have blessed Jyoti ma'am has arranged a speaker from Canada also, Dr. Ratinder Parkar, a great bless. It will be blessings to hear from you also, ma'am. So thank you all. Good wishes, all the nursing fraternity and nursing students. Very nice to see all wonderful nurses sitting in various parts of winter season. I think some have covered, so much cool is there, so much winter is there. I think that's why all have covered their face, head and neck. But hope your minds are very sharp to listen to our great speakers. Thank you. Good wishes to all of you. Namaste.
Thank you so much, sir, for sparing out time and addressing. You rightly said we have one of the most eminent personality among us, Dr. Sandhya Gupta. Without any delay, I would request Manjeet Kaur madam and Raman madam to share the pre-test link. It is only 10 questions that we have sharing. So it will hardly take 2 to 3 minutes. It is only true, false. So just to get the awareness how much you have. So for that reason, we are sharing a pre-test link. It is there in the chat box. You can go through it.
Yes, ma'am. Link is already shared and it is there in the chat box. So I request all the participants to perform this pre-test.
If anyone is facing any difficulty, please do share your trouble in chat box. We would love to help you out if in case you are unable to open it. I request all of you to please put on the camera so that I take the photograph before starting the session. Please share a thumbs up or done as a message in the chat box so that we start with the session without any delay. Manjeet ma'am, now we can start. I think many of them have done it. So we can start. And if in case your friends are unable to join, please let them know. I have sent an email to all the participants. If you have any trouble in joining us via Zoom, you can watch us through YouTube. And I would be sending the post-test link after the session via email as well, for those who are watching us via YouTube. Over to you, Manjeet ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, first of all, I would like to introduce our today's speaker, Madam Dr. Sandhya Gupta. I hope
Manjeet ma'am, you have connectivity issues. Your
health consultant and lifestyle coach. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah, now you are audible.
Okay. So this is my proud privilege to introduce our today's speaker. Our honorable speaker for today's session is Dr. Sandhya Gupta. Madam is presently working as health consultant and lifestyle coach. Formerly, Madam was acting principal and associate professor at College of Nursing, AIIMS, New Delhi. And as well as Madam is formerly secretary of Indian Nursing Council, Government of India. Madam has worked in the field of mental health for 41 years. And Madam has also worked with the Danish Medical Mission, as well as worked in RAK College of Nursing, Delhi. Madam is also the chairperson for nationwide training for capacity building for COVID-19 and member of Addiction Psychiatry Society of India, executive member of Indian Association of Health Informatics, as well as Madam is the member of National Nursing and Midwifery Commission. Madam has done her is a master trainer for substance use disorder, HIV/AIDS, geriatric care, palliative care, mental health, first aid, old age homes, tobacco control, etc. Madam has also written chapters and training modules for many books, WHO, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, as well as for IGNOU. And Madam is the chief editor of Indian Journal of Psychiatric Nursing and advisor, as well as a reviewer for various journals. Madam has published over 139 publications in scientific journals, and Madam is also the PhD guide. Madam has also represented India in various forums in India as well as abroad. Madam has decorated with the President's Gold Medal and TK Adranwala's Prize for the Best Dissertation and also for the Administration, Delhi University. Madam is also the Fellow of Indian Society of Psychiatric Nurses, and Best Research Work Award is also in the name of Ma'am for Amazonians of America. Madam is also having this Prestashti Award by Bharatiya Sati Sangathan and is also a member of expert advisory committees for National Mental Health Program, Mental Health Bill, Care of Elderly, Health Informatics of Bureau of Indian Standards, University of Delhi, and Indian Society of Psychiatric Nursing. I welcome you, ma'am, and over to you.
Thank you very much. I must appreciate this invitation to me, and I'm very happy to be with so many young people. I hope the thoughts that I'm sharing today will take you to some knowledge level, that many people think that addiction is a problem of society, and they think that the person who takes substances is a bad person or a criminal. I would like everybody to have different aspect after finishing this presentation. I'm sure you will have in your mind the way you treat any chronically ill person, you will treat a person with substance use in the same manner. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you so much. Maybe.
Hello, Jyoti, are you sharing it? Who is sharing?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is sharing?
Ma'am, it
Hello?
has started.
Ma'am is sharing.
Hello, please listen to me. Before
Yes,
you
ma'am.
share, you have to open and run it in your computer before you share. So stop share.
Yes, ma'am.
First you open it and check the sound and then only you can share.
Okay, ma'am.
Jyoti, can you share?
Yes, ma'am, I am sharing.
Because probably they are not aware of some technology, you know, technology is always an issue.
Ji,
So
ma'am, I'm doing it.
first we have to check the sound before we share. Hello, everyone. Forming the evidence base for understanding brain function in context of addiction disorder is very important. Addiction changes everything. Take little back. Genetics and epigenetics of addiction. Addiction is a chronically relapsing neuropsychiatric that occurs in all substances of abuse. Can you take it to first slide? Forming the evidence base for understanding brain function in context of addiction disorder is very important. Addiction changes everything. Genetics and epigenetics of addiction. Addiction is a chronically relapsing neuropsychiatric that occurs in all substances of abuse. Relatively little is known about mechanisms which contribute to individual differences in susceptibility to addiction. Neural gene expression regulation underlies the pathogenesis of addiction. Which is mediated by epigenetic mechanisms such as DNA modification. Genetic factors in mental disorders. Drugs of abuse, including opioids, act on brain's reward system, a system that transfers signals primarily via molecules or neurotransmitters. Dopamine. The function of this system is affected by genetic and environmental factors. One study revealed that one of those genetic factors researchers demonstrated that a type of small infectious agent, a type of RNA virus called human endogenous retrovirus K, HML-2 or HK2, integrates within a gene that regulates activity of dopamine. This integration is more frequently found in people with substance disorders and associated the stress-induced epigenetic change. Accumulating evidence suggests that environmental factors such as stress induce epigenetic changes that can trigger the development of psychiatric disorders and drug addiction. Epigenetic changes refer to regulation of gene expression that do not involve alterations in the sequence of genetic material. Practically, epigenetic changes are formulation that is added on already existing genetic material, but can affect the expression of genes.
Stress is a trigger, such as death of significant other or loss of job, triggers the Hello everyone. How does stress induce epigenetic changes? Accumulating evidence suggests that environmental factors such as stress induce epigenetic changes that can trigger the development of psychiatric disorders and drug addiction. Epigenetic changes refer to regulation of gene expression that do not involve alterations in the sequence of genetic material. Formulation that is already existing genetic but can affect expression of gene. Stress is a trigger, such as death of significant other or loss of job, triggers the release of steroid hormones called glucocorticoids. Most hormones trigger alteration in many systems throughout the world, induce epigenetic changes, and regulate the expression of other genes in the body. One of the systems that is affected by stress hormones is brain's reward circuit. The interaction between stress hormones and reward system can trigger the development of addiction as well as stress drug or drug. With molecular profiling, many drug-induced DNA modification changes were found at synaptic plasticity genes, which can affect their expression and persist after cessation of drug. Therefore, DNA epigenetics contribute to the neural and behavioral adaptations associated with drug addiction and may serve as a molecular target to manipulate responding drugs. Drugs of abuse commonly affect brain dopamine systems and hijack the neural mechanisms regulating the experience of natural reward and reinforcement learning. Nicotine exposure during early adolescence biases brain development towards propensity of drug addiction in adulthood, which is consistent with long-standing notions of nicotine being a gateway to illicit drug use. The opportunity to explore and engage with novel environmental conditions such as in patterns of exploratory behavior, social behaviors, and cognitive traits. Underlying these behavioral changes are morphological, physiological, and molecular adaptations throughout the brain. Over time, differences in experience can thus drive the development of distinct behavioral phenotypes within members of the same population, in addition to their evolutionary and ecological implications. Epigenetics and plasticity is the study of interaction between epigenetic process which regulate gene expression without changing the acid sequence and plasticity property response to internal or external factors. A systematic literature search on genetic and environmental influences on cannabis use initiation and problematic groups present that genes, shared environment, and unshared environment.
आज में गलत टाइम है ना ग्रिल में मेरे पगले भर जिंदगी भी काम मेरा हाथ से मेरा हस्बैंड इसने फोन किया हाथ कैसे टूट गया क्या
Genes are influencing temperaments, motivational reward system tone, inhibitory control mechanism, prefrontal cortex, psychobiological response to emotions, ability to cope with stress, sociability.
जाके कितने बजे आएगी नहीं तो मैं जाके 5-10 मिनट में वापस आती है ना
It makes them directly vulnerable for drug use. So when we look at the parent-child attachment and parent-child relationship, we can examine and do some intervention there. Temperamental precursors of infant attachment with mothers and fathers, the parental sensitivity and infant temperament is directly related to infant mother and infant father attachment relationship. Candidate genes for cannabis disorder findings, challenges and directions. Genes with specific influences on cannabis disorder. Cannabinoid receptor gene, cannabinoid receptor type, fatty acid amide hydrolase, monoglyceride lipase, transient receptor potential vanilloid, orphan cannabinoid receptor. Then genes with non-specific influence on risk of cannabis disorder. GABA receptor 2, dopamine receptor D2, opioid receptor MU1. Relevance of perceived childhood neglect, 5-HTT gene variants and hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis dysregulation to substance use susceptibility. So they all get influenced. So mother-father neglect is affecting the initiation of drug in children, which will result in HPA axis dysfunction. And there is a gene underlying serotonin transporter gene S, LA. So there is an interaction in these factors. So gene environment interaction in problematic substance use, interaction with DRD4 and insecure attachments. So anxious avoidant parent and child attachment will result in, it may initiate heavy use of cannabis. And it is found that 7R allele, dopamine receptor gene, DRD4, present. They are interacting. Perceived parenting behavior in childhood of cocaine users, relationship with genotype and personality traits. 5-HTT-LPR, serotonin transporter encoding gene. The association is greatly reduced by involving supportive parenting. So the environment can do many things, even if genetically predisposed. Secure attachment, agreeable autonomy can be developed. Insecure attachment, hostile autonomy will be developed. Here we can see low emotional stability and high emotional stability is related to probability of decline in parental control and probability of initiating substance. So here we are just showing the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. The gene variant and adverse childhood experiences have direct relationship with vulnerability to use drugs and become dependent. Here we can see psychobiological response to unpleasant emotions in cannabis users. The association between active cannabis subjective sensitivity to negative emotions and threat and HPA axis dysfunction. Brain CT scan in a patient with cocaine-induced basilar artery thrombosis. hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, and smoking and drinking onset among adolescents. Higher cortisol levels were related to current smoking and future frequency of smoking. Higher instead of lower. Hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis activity as a predictor of smoking in early adults. Epigenetic effects of the drug, you can see that. Basically, neuroplastic changes take place. And because of that, it develops transcriptionally inactive state. And the gene activity will provide protein production, will further change neuroplastic changes. This picture shows about cocaine, how effect of cocaine affects epigenetic changes. Profiling of childhood adversity associated DNA methylation changes in alcoholic patients and healthy controls. Childhood adversities could induce methylation alterations in promoter regions of specific genes and changes in gene transcription with increased risk for substance disorders. Poverty and stress during childhood, hyperactive amygdala, that is a store for emotions in our brain, and hypoactive prefrontal cortex, emotions are regulated here. Pathogenesis of substance use disorder, candidate genes temperaments, parent-child insecure attachment, early adverse experiences, impaired coping and stress, impulsiveness, low frustration, impaired sociability, social isolation, lack of bonding family, lack of school engagement, vulnerability to peer pressure. Pathogenesis of substance use disorder also involves extreme poverty, exposure to domestic violence, exposure to competitive environment, displacement, hunger, work overload, being trafficked, living in street, child sex workers, then child soldiers. Drug use disorder is a complex chronic disease, not a self-acquired disease, multifactorial pathogenesis, vulnerability for initiation, vulnerability for drug disorder, interaction gene environment concurring to the disease, stable changes in brain pre-existing to drugs, not a moral or criminal issue. There are circuits involved in drug abuse and addiction. Inhibitory control, reward salience, motivation and drive, memory and learning, uncontrollable compulsive behavior. A motivational system and emotional memory are hijacked by drugs. The system that should respond to salient stimuli is focused only on drugs and drug-related stimuli. Epigenetics and memory causes consequences and treatments of post-traumatic stress disorder and addiction. Both stress and exposure to drugs induce epigenetic changes that result in persistent behavioral changes. How modulating these epigenetic targets make it persistent. Extinction of drug seeking and extinction of fear. These two can be acted upon, then result can be found. Usurpation of emotional memory. Cocaine addict brain is not activated anymore by monitoring for. So there are a lot of changes in response of the brain cells. Stable changes in the brain long-lasting, not curable, treatable, willpower impaired, or non-existent, compulsive behavior extension need. So we can think of therapies on these lines. Of course, psychiatric morbidity may be already present. Dysregulated responses to emotions among abstinent heroin users. Correlation with childhood neglect and addiction severity. And childhood neglect results in altered response to emotions and hypophysiotropic portal in anterior pituitary dysfunction will increase the addiction severity. Compulsory detention, forced detoxification, and forced labor are not acceptable or effective ways to treat addiction. Therefore, we advise consent of the patient to be taken, negotiation concerning the treatment program, therapeutic alliance, and flexibility is very important in treatment. The interplay between parental monitoring and dopamine force receptor gene in adolescent cannabis use is directly related to low parental monitoring and high more like lifetime cannabis. Male participants of a classroom management program in grade 1 have a decreased probability to have developed a drug-related disorder at age 21, especially if they are rated aggressive by their teachers at that time. So you can see that teachers, the school environment can do a lot of things even if genetically. In case of substance use, developmental phases are very, very important. Basically, if we pay a lot of attention developmental aspect, we can do prevention, early detection, and we can change the environment. We can do many things to catch the problem in time. So intellectual ability, language development, cognitive, emotional, psychological functioning, social competencies, skill needs attention. During infancy, it is the protective traits and skill sets and experiences for infant are really required, such as caregivers' responsiveness, stimulation from environment, then not to be temperamental, learning how to be effective in having needs met. Then in early childhood, competence is important, language, cooperation, control of collective functions. In middle childhood, maintaining a communication, receptive to others is important. It is integral to self-regulation of emotion and behavior to prepare for adulthood. Even under normal conditions, the adolescent prefrontal cortex is not completely connected. So they are still developing, even though they look like adults, but they are still developing. So imbalanced adolescent brain, so the emotional responses are heightened, cognitive controls are immature, then emotional reactivity and cognitive regulation becomes double jeopardy. adolescent takes drugs, becomes very difficult to handle. Use all involved factors impact on executive depends on personal characteristics and not only in adolescent but throughout the developmental phase. So it's important to understand what is the importance of environment. Two broad categories of factors contribute to risk: genetic and environmental. Genetic variants that confer risk are like switches, either on or off. Their position is largely predetermined for every genetic switch that is on. There may be some incremental increase in risk. Environmental factors are like dials, turned up or down depending on experience. As adversity dials are ramped up, risk is increased. No factor alone is sufficient to cause addiction. There is always some critical combination of number and types of switches that are on and dials that are turned up that crosses a liability threshold. In essence, priming the brain for addiction. The threshold can be reached by any number of combinations of factors, unique for each individual. The functional relationship between factors is also complex, not necessarily addictive. Some genetic risk variants may require specific environmental influences to increase liability, such as via epigenetics. Similarly, the relationship between factors can be synergistic or even antagonistic. Finally, there are environmental dials that confer resiliency and may counteract or reduce the effect of genetic switches that are on. In micro level influences, income, resources, social environment, physical environment. In micro level influences, family influences, social influence, peer influence. In personal characteristics, genetic susceptibility, mental health and personal traits, neurological development, stress reaction. The primary outcome is substance abuse and related problems, academic failure, poor social competency skills, poor self-regulation, mental health problems, poor physical health. Neurological deficits and delays take place when the prefrontal cortex is slow to develop or not functioning properly. There is inability to accurately interpret social cues. And then negative emotions can dominate, impulsivity to self-control can happen, insensitivity to consequences can happen, heightened sensitivity to words can happen, sensation seeking can happen, poor stress reactivity can happen, inattention can happen. Implications of delays in brain development for behavior. The sign of poor regulation due to deficit and delays vary as a function of developmental stage. Younger children, language delays. In late childhood, early adolescent, aggression, sensation seeking. Detrimental environmental conditions. Other adverse, further compromise brain development, drug use and addiction. Stress exposure and reactivity will more these. Stress, drug use and addiction definitely a very bad combination. Stress strongly predicts drug use when there is psychiatric disorder, poor parenting, family dysfunction, adverse neighborhood characteristics. Of course, preventing mental health, emotional and behavioral disorder among young people is a very important thing. It's a very important responsibility. Among externalizing disorders, it is the conduct disorders and aggressive behavior that greatly attributing for initiation of substance use. Personality and temperament become very difficult to handle related to heightened risk for drug use. Micro level influences, family, school, and peers. The home environment is the impact of poor parenting are very long standing. And preventive implications here intervening at parent level is crucial to improve child outcome. Parenting styles that interfere with healthy child development. Negative influences and severely negative. Some parents become very harsh, restrictive. There is domestic violence, abuse and neglect, hostile, high in conflict, emotionally triggered, caregiver who are not responsive. Then it links to aggressive behavior and drug use. Children exposed to stress and conflict at home are more likely to become more behaviorally and emotionally maladjusted. Preventive implications for exposed children is training in parent skill, relieving the stressors and mental health problems of caregivers, and trauma prevention and treatment studies. Micro level influences, lack of education, poorly equipped schools and teachers. Here the preventive implication would be quality of schools, its teachers, curriculum, student social network in school are major socializing influences to be taken advantage. Micro level influences of peers. Peer relationships, here it can supersede parents' influence. Presence of peer undermine executive decision making. Time spent in unstructured settings on streets heightens this effect. Social networking technology removes parents from interaction with child, further reducing their influence. Prevention is very important here to monitor the child spending time outside home and outside peer influence. The females have tendency to have more peer pressure effects. Macro level influences poverty, social and physical environment. It affects the quality of environment, limit choices and opportunity for adults to have children, places strain on social system and supports. Consequences for children will be difficult to teach children effective social skills. They will need to interact with peers and other adults. Poor children are much more likely to grow poor adults and raise children who suffer the same. Macro level influences of poverty harming individual child and youth development. It increases stress in caregivers, reduces ability to invest in learning and educational opportunity, compromises ability to be involved, patient, responsive, and nurturing parents to their children throughout the development, create conditions that are stressful for children. Good news is that high quality parenting has potential to mitigate the effects of poverty, particularly for girls. This is one important target for preventive interventions. For impoverished children, the services are very badly needed, particularly with respect to learning the skills needed to escape poverty and succeed in life. So there is need to facilitate implementation of comprehensive programs, enact programs to alleviate the sources of poverty. Macro level influences of social environment. The social environment of larger community influences drug use, risk, shaping social norms and focusing patterns of social control, effective stress responses. It is critical to maintain neighborhood viability and cohesiveness. Peers during adolescence are especially encouraged. social cohesion, attachment to satisfaction with people who are required, involving trust and support for one another in community, maintain norms for positive social behavior, associated with lower drug use and lower drug related mortality. Discrimination and social exclusion have profound negative effects. Obviously, when the drug use is there, then there will be discrimination. There will be restricted access to services and social supports. Effects are compounded for migrants. So stigma is there. Then political instability will further disrupt the basic services such as housing, sanitation, etc. So there will be a lot of deficits. Macro influences of physical environment affect social relations, crime and drug use, decaying abandoned buildings, ready access to alcohol and drugs, neighborhood disorder, vandalism, urbanization of area, neighborhood deprivation, neurotoxins such as lead, cadmium, mercury, arsenic, secondhand smoke, prenatal exposure to drugs, alcohol, toxin. So are the drug disorders treatable? A growing body of work has demonstrated distinct DNA epigenetics features in male reward regions that may be associated with addiction susceptibility. Furthermore, factors that influence addiction susceptibility are also known to have DNA epigenetics. Addiction susceptibility has an underlying DNA epigenetic basis. Conclusions here: low threshold outreach, harm reduction interventions are essential. Because none of us know who's having what type of genes and how our body is going. So we need to make very good robust programs for harm reduction interventions. Respond to patients' need in all stages of their disease. Don't leave them in the middle of the treatment. Harm reduction involves outreach activities, not waiting for patients in the office. No threshold intervention, no rules. Easy access, unconditional services to protect health, accompanying the patient reiterated failures because they have to try many times for detoxification and remain abstinent. Relapse management is important, not responder to harm reduction. Again, continuous care has to be given. Harm reduction and treatment recovery without any conflict. 9 elements package for HIV persons who are using IDUs, naloxone for overdose prevention. Some examples here for harm reduction. Addiction treatment, appealing retention in treatment. Non-confrontational, low threshold, food and social protection, medication, family therapy, one-stop shop, one therapist-patient engagement. So we have to really fight against empty services. Because if all services are not there, there will be relapse. Mobilization for prevention and treatment of substance use disorder is a public health and human right approach, nothing less than what is provided for any other chronic disease. So substance use disorder has to be taken as any other chronic disease when we provide service. Prevention of drug use disorder is very important. Parental monitoring, undivided time for children, warm and supportive style, clear rules in the family life. Most of the health professionals who should be providing treatment for addiction are not sufficiently trained to diagnose and treat the disease. Most of those providing addiction care are not medical professionals. Misunderstandings about the nature of addiction among professionals need to be dealt with. Disconnection of addiction medicine from mainstream medical practice. There are certain therapies which are psychosocial but scientific-based interventions, pharmacological science-based interventions, integrated, comprehensive, multidisciplinary services. So takeaway message is the earlier the better, the earlier intervention, the more effective and direct behavioral pathways, sensitivity, reduce exposure to potentially long-term adverse effects of above physiological conditions, including the early use of drug itself. Even very young children can manifest early signs of future mental, emotional, behavioral disorder that for later drug use. But there is known about how to potential on case and educational environment in terms of high education is essential. It is never too late. Many mental health, emotional, behavioral problems stem from impulsive sensation seeking activities in adolescents. Problems important to monitor and prevent include early alcohol, tobacco, and other drug use, violent, delinquent behaviors, depression and suicide, risky sexual behaviors. In adulthood, influences persist and require address to prevent further escalation of use, addiction, and relapse. Fortunately, there is tremendous brain plasticity and maturation of functions through adolescence and early childhood provides a solid window of opportunity to improve outcomes. So we have to act early. Prevention and treatment should be based on science. Prevention and treatment should be implemented by qualified professionals. Scientific, academic, association, health authorities should take decision and reach consensus on nature of intervention. Prevention and treatment are cost effective, always new research, frontiers open new perspectives.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We are really grateful to you for your words of wisdom. You have explained very well about the topic, such a detailed explanation with some live example from a case scenario.
You're
Thank
welcome,
you
my
so-
dear. If there are any questions, I can take any questions if there are in chat box.
Ma'am, I have a small thing to ask. As I could see, it was written that cocaine troubles with the memory issues. And there was something related to monetary also. I could not get it, what you meant about it.
See, the cocaine has very serious defect because it causes thrombosis. So definitely there will be a lot of problems in brain function.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. And I will stress and genetic disposition also is leading to one of the major reason that in today's generation, we have more of anxiety attack problem. In my friend circle itself, I have many people, those who are dealing with it. So thank you for enlightening us and giving us the details how we can prevent it and how good parenting would affect or improve the situation for the children. Thank
Many
you so
times
much,
we
ma'am.
think that genetic disposition means you have to leave the matter and nothing can be done. But what we are trying to say here is that the genetic predisposition can potentiate. So the environment, love and affection, appropriate treatment can decrease the stress and increase the ability for a person to manage. So that's why we are saying that it is less than 50% is genetics. Rest, we can do a lot of things if we are working together as a team with multidisciplinary team. And of course, we have to work with teachers in the school because they are informative years with teachers and parents. They don't give attention enough. Actually, attention is for very short time by parents, but it should be undivided attention. Like when they are interacting with the child, at that time, they should not be doing any other activity. So that's very important to remain connected with the children. Even if they are not physically together, they should be mentally connected to the child. So that's what we are trying to say, that environmental manipulation can do many things. Just the way peer pressure is influencing the child, the same way parents can also influence, teachers can also influence, nurses, doctors, everybody can influence. Thank you.
Very well said, ma'am, that looking onto the problem will not have the solution. So you have suggested the solutions as well. And I hope everyone would get it how to deal with this situation. Over to you, Raman, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now it's the time for our second lecture. Our second speaker is an eminent speaker from Canada. So it's my privilege to introduce ma'am. Madam Rutinder Pal Corbett. Ma'am is presently working with chronically mentally ill clients of all ages, gender and ethnicity at community mental health worker at More Than Roof Society, North Vancouver from 2019 to since present. And she's having a vast experience of 14 years in the nursing profession. Ma'am has done her BSc Nursing from Kurukshetra University, MSc in Mental and Nursing from Baba Farid University, Faridkot, Community Mental Health Worker Certification courses from University of British Columbia, Vancouver, Healthcare Assistant Certification from Douglas College,
Is the slide visible?
No, your screen is not visible. Please click to it.
She has done her BSc Nursing from Kurukshetra University, MSc in Mental and Nursing from Baba Farid University of Health Sciences, Faridkot, Community Mental Health Work Certification course from University of British Columbia, Vancouver, Healthcare Assistant Certification from Douglas College, New Westminster, Certified Yoga Teacher, Trauma Focused Practices and Yoga Alliances, Addiction Care and Treatment Certification from University of BC Vancouver, Regional Diploma in Psychiatric Nursing, Sternberg College, Surrey. She is pursuing this course, and Diploma in American Sign Language from UBC Vancouver. Few of the achievements of ma'am are actively working with the various de-addiction, rehabilitation and recovering model, de-addicted to saving lives and helping youth who are suffering with psychoactive substance use disorder associated with various mental health, medical and developmental disorders, the Naloxone administration trainer overdose, and certified first aider in Canada. Now I request our today international speaker to kindly enlighten our audience.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ramandeep, for that absolute amazing introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are, to everyone. And I am extremely honored to be here. Very grateful to participate and actually attend this webinar, this international webinar on genetic predisposition. A little bit about myself is like Ms. Ramandeep has already told you, and she actually bragged about me. I'm not that good, but I just want to say that I have dedicated myself to mental health and addiction, my work life, obviously, and because I have had very personal and up close experiences with it. And I thought if I could help them, then I want to help just one more person, and that keeps me going. And yeah, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to Ms. Jyoti, who's principal of GMCH College of Nursing, Chandigarh, to actually offer me this opportunity to participate and share some real life experiences with you. And I'm really looking forward to it. Unfortunately, I won't be able to share a lot of information. Trust me, I want to. And but the time is limited, so I'm going to share a little bit about what I have experienced in top 3 cases that I have encountered where there was a very solid and concrete connection between genetics and mental health ailments and addiction. So yeah, let's begin. I hope everyone can hear me. I know there is a little bit of network issue. Sometimes the voice is not clear, but yeah, fingers crossed, guys. It's so the first case number one is I'm not gonna say the name of the patients, of course, to protect and respect their confidentiality, but I'm gonna share the rest of the information. So case number one is a client named John Doe, age 28 years, gender male, and ethnicity is South Asian origin, pronounced he or him. Status, he's in active recovery, which is good news. Past history of occasional alcohol use and cigarette smoking as social ritual in gatherings or parties and clubs, and when you're just hanging out with your friends. He was diagnosed with opioid use disorder, specifically with diacetylmorphine, which is also known as heroin. This particular client has a family history of psychoactive use of diacetylmorphine by the deceased father, who died of an overdose when the client was 11 months old. There is an extensive history where the father was using very heavily a significant amount of heroin of varied kinds and different varieties while the mother conceived child. So yeah, it says in the next point here. So the father was using it about 1 year before the client was conceived. So client never tried any substances willingly, but he was actually slipped the substance as per the data by one of the peers, just in a social gathering, and ever since then has already predisposed genetics and history made him start having cravings for the substance just after the first use. So treatments caused withdrawals and cravings to the point where the client was literally ready to kill someone just for his next fix. Just in case, if anyone is not aware or familiar with the term fix, is when you want to get your next psychoactive substance through any route, like it could be inhalation, ingestion, however they choose. So the next fix is the street term that the clients use here. And client was also diagnosed with depression and high suicide risk associated with withdrawals, because his body was literally craving even after the drug was eliminated from his system after a very, very long and extensive period of therapeutic regimens, but he still had those neurochemical receptor panels where he was very susceptible to it. So heroin is associated with genetic transferability from father to son and from mother to her daughter. So here his father had a very strong history of, his deceased father, I'm sorry, has a very extensive history of using substances, specifically heroin. And later on, when the client used it just once, that is also by accident. He was very much predisposed to it, and he all these factors actually led him to a very heavy use of this particular substance for a very long time. He's in recovery now, which is good. He's in active recovery. He's been sober for about 6 years. So applause for the client, and he is still an active client with us. So this is one thing where it was very strongly suggested that the family history actually predisposed him while he was still in the embryonic stages, and which is why he was so predisposed to it. So that is the first case. Second case is actually a very interesting case. I would say the most interesting one that that I have seen in my 7 years of experience just in Canada. So the client named Baby John Doe, he's only 3 months old as of today. Male, and pronouns are he and him. His ethnicity is Indigenous Canadian native, so First Nations, firstborn Canadian. Status, he's in foster care with Jordan Principle, and he is in active treatment. What is Jordan's Principle? To define it in one sentence, it's a law which is passed just to protect, and it is implemented very strictly just to protect the Indigenous or First Nation Canadians. So yeah, so he's under that care now. Baby John was born with neonatal abstinence syndrome along with clubfoot and congenital muscular torticollis. So these are very specific diagnoses which are associated with the babies who are born from addicted parents. Neonatal abstinence syndrome is a group of symptoms, of course, where the baby is born an addict. So the baby John here, he is already addicted to heroin, and by no fault of his own, obviously. Next slide, please. The family history of both parents suffering from psychoactive substance use disorder with, again, heroin, methamphetamine, which they generally name crystal meth, cannabis, and alcohol. So it's multiple psychoactive substance use. It was declared by the family physician that physical and developmental deformities were as a result of mother's continuous use of substances throughout her pregnancy. So neonatal abstinence syndrome is diagnosed for the babies who are born as an addict. So they're already very much prone to become an addict in later life. It could be 5 years of age, it could be 10 years of age, it could be just when they're entering teenage, it could be like very later in their life, but they're very, very prone to it. And then also when the mother is constantly using, what I have seen in many other cases here, if the mother is constantly using substances, very hard substances during her pregnancy, then the babies are born with certain congenital defects as well. Like we said, that baby John here, he has clubfoot as well. And he has the muscular disorder where his head keeps turning to one side. So, and this is very classic of from when the babies are born from the parents who are very, very heavy users. It was declared by the family physician, like I said, and along with the diagnosis listed above, baby John Doe suffered from chronic diarrhea and colic ever since he was born, very jittery behavior and crying spells for hours length of a day, which are classic signs of neonatal abstinence syndrome babies. Baby John will always be prone to become an addict, unfortunately, and he has a very strong genetic predisposition and a certain amount of psychoactive substances in his body as genetic sequences. So this drug is already in his genetic sequences; it's coded there. So he, of course, his parents are not capable to take care of baby John, and he's only 3 months old and he's already suffering so much. He has been adopted and taken in by Jordan's Principle, as I defined it before, that it's a law just to protect the First Native and the Indigenous people in Canada. And so as a step to help him to have a safe and therapeutic environment to grow up and get treated for the addiction that he's born with by no fault of his own. So yeah, this is a very interesting case that I wanted to share with you. Case 3 is a female client, Jane Doe, age 19 years, gender female, pronounced she, her, ethnicity Asian origin. Status deceased, unfortunately, which is very recent, cause of death suicide. She was diagnosed with multiple psychoactive substance use disorders with amphetamine, cocaine, and cannabis, secondary to agenesis of corpus callosum. This is again a very interesting case. Next slide, please. So agenesis of corpus callosum is when there is partial or complete absence of corpus callosum, which results in disconnection of the two cerebral hemispheres. So they cannot communicate with each other properly in the absence of corpus callosum. And corpus callosum also is the greatest area where it stores the white matter. So white matter of our brain is stored largely in corpus callosum, and white matter is responsible for our emotions, and you know how we say like, hey, move on with your life. So that moving on, that moving forward is actually related to white matter. So when that white matter is not there, that corpus callosum is not there, then it makes the client very prone to drug addiction, depression, and actually suicide, because the serotonin levels, they drop down very significantly in this disease. In utero history of constant exposure to cocaine, so client's mother, this client actually was from India. She came to us 2 years ago. So yeah, so in utero history of constant exposure to cocaine and crystal meth or methamphetamine, as mother was consuming significant amounts of cocaine, cannabis, and methamphetamine during the whole 3 trimesters of her pregnancy. Studies have shown that prenatal exposure of these substances can lead to ACC, like ma'am, Dr. Sandhya Gupta had also explained like how all these receptors are diverted and how they malfunction in the presence of all these substances, which is at high risk of depression, anxiety, and drug addiction with the same substances as the client was exposed. So studies have shown that if the mother is constantly using during her pregnancy, then it may happen that the client, the babies are born with ACC. There are like analyzed 37 studies that have been conducted very exclusively to see like how this affects on the brain development of the child. So this was a very particular case that came to us. The client stayed with us for 11 months and was extremely compliant. He was extremely compliant to his treatment. He was always participating in the groups. He was always encouraging other clients, because I work in a facility where it's an inpatient facility and we provide exclusive services for their recovery, rehabilitation, de-addiction, you know, getting them enrolled in school, getting them a job. Some of them are already like teen parents. They had teenage pregnancies. Some of them are sexual workers present, or they have a history of that. Some of them also have a lot of STDs, but then again, like here we are talking about genetic predisposition to addiction. So I'm just going to focus on that. The client stayed with us for 11 months, and she was so good. She was really good, and we really thought that she was going to have like a happy ending. She was very I would say ambitious. She wanted to be a film director, and she was also studying that in actually University of British Columbia. But however, we can expect for happy endings, but it's not always possible. And this client actually very recently, she jumped off a bridge and ended her life. And it was a very planned one. Like she just wanted, she couldn't take it anymore. She left a letter and everything. So this, I know, like this is a very short presentation of all these 3 cases, but honestly, I welcome you all to share your insights. And if you have any questions, like you can call me, you can email me, however you feel. Like I have so many stories because I work actively in this field, and I work on abstinence-based model where the clients are not allowed to use at all. And I also work in harm reduction model where the clients are allowed to use. We don't stop them. We don't restrict them from using, but we do provide them with safe ways of using. And just a little bit of extra information. There is a clinic in downtown Vancouver, which is the only licensed facility in North America where they make their own heroin, medically licensed heroin, and they administer it to almost 300 clients every day. So they don't use it on the streets, and they don't overdose, and they don't die. So yeah, I have lots of experiences like that. If you ever want to talk about it, so I welcome you all. But thank you so much for letting me share these experiences. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your attention, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Virk. As you have been repeatedly saying, if you have any query, I do have one query. As you said that the white matter is responsible for, moving on
Emotion.
in other aspects.
Yeah.
Emotions mainly. So this could be one reason for your patient that she ended her life. So that can be one reason what I could understand.
Yes. This was actually one of the reasons, because like I said, white matter is responsible for emotions. And when we are going through a grief, we are going through trauma, we have post-traumatic stress disorders. This client also had a very extensive history of physical and sexual abuse by her father. And this is very unfortunate, but it's very real. And her father also pushed her to become a sex worker, because he just wanted some money, and he owed money to all kinds of people, and she was pushed into that. So it's not just that the white matter is responsible for emotions, and she couldn't handle her emotions, but there was also, I said, like, I did not talk about the other things and other factors that were there, but we only focused on the genetic predisposition part here. But there was a lot of trauma that she was going through, and then again, white matter is responsible for the emotions and moving forward. But she was reliving that trauma almost every single day. She had nightmares about it. She put herself on fire because she thought that she was just very dirty. And so there are like so many things. Like I said, like, I have a very limited amount of time here to talk about the cases in detail, but yes, that is one of the very significant causes why this client ended her life, because she just couldn't move on, because she did not have that capacity in her brain. That the brain development was insufficient and inadequate. So she just couldn't, even though we provided with every resource, and she was safe. She was taking medications. She was attending therapies and everything, but she just couldn't move on from all that trauma. So which is why I said that white matter is linked with emotions and remuneration of those emotions, and going through grief and bereavement and all that. So yes, Ma'am Jyoti, that is right.
That was a very great, discussion on the cases that you have been dealing with, my dear.
Thank you.
I would like to know a little bit on to the facility that you are working. Can you tell me about your facility?
Absolutely. I would love to share that. So I work in it's a facility called Renfrew House. It's situated in the heart of Vancouver, and it's an abstinence-based program. Like I said, the clients who are committed to us, they are only youth from 18 to 24 years of age. So when they are admitted, they have to be in this age, and then they can graduate. From the program, if they are adhering to all the all their agreement. So it's a facility. It's an 8-bedded facility, and we only take very limited number of clients because we want to focus on each one of them with their psychosocial rehabilitation. So it's a very exclusive program. It's a safe site where the clients, they come to us from the streets, from the hospitals, from any other province, and they come to us and they stay with us for about a year. They can stay with us for a longer time. It's very case sensitive. It's very individualized plans. So we provide with medications, with injectables, with therapies, with counseling sessions, with their job, with their schooling. So this is a very exclusive facility that provides every resource to them. So I work as a youth case manager there for the last 6 years, and and the clients keep changing, so it keeps you on your toes. You don't get settled with the same number of clients because they keep changing with us, and when they graduate, they leave. They can always come back if you're still in active recovery. And sometimes it happens like they do relapse, because abstinence, they say, is a very theoretical term. It doesn't happen all the time with every client, and relapse is also part of journey. So we see like how much they are relapsing and how frequently they are relapsing. Are they actually committed to the program or not? So yeah, that's what Renfrew House is. That's where I'm working, and it's voluntary admission.
I would like to connect with you because we are working for addiction work in India. since
Mhm.
1988. Maybe you were not even born. So since
Yeah,
then we are working with addiction. I would like to connect with you personally and also academically. Thank you so much.
absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
was
Thank you.
great listening to you.
Thank you, Dr. Sandhya. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ritinder ma'am. So now we are about to end of our session. So it is my privilege to thank Dr. Sandhya Gupta, who has spared time from her hectic schedule. Thank you so much, ma'am. I also want to
Welcome,
thank
my dear.
Dr. Ritinder Pal Corville for joining us and enlightened our audience. My heartfelt thanks to our Dr. Sue Khanna, who has given opportunity to our young research scholar to explore more. Our NSS chapter president, Dr. Binu Joy. Thank you so much. My heartfelt thanks to Professor Jyoti, Principal College of Nursing, for keeping her trust in us. Thank you so much, ma'am. And at the last, I would like to thank all our participants who are an important part of this event. Without you all, our event was not able to be successful. I hope you all have gathered pertinent points from this conference. You will definitely implement such points in your day-to-day life. Now is the time for the post-test. The post-test link has been shared in the chat box. I request all the participants to kindly fill it. I'll repeat, a post-test link has been shared in the chat box. I hope you all are able to fill this.
If you face any kind of difficulty, kindly share your problems in the chat box.
I must take this opportunity as we are busy, as you all are busy, but still I have time and my greatest gratitude to Dr. Sandhya Gupta. Out of her schedule, madam, you have taken out time and you took a elaborated session. I'm heartfelt thank you to ma'am. And we are all obliged that you have spared time in the whole session and you are with us. Thank you so much, ma'am. The more I thank you, it is not enough, but still I would like to say thank you once again. Thank you, ma'am. The link is open for another 20-30 minutes, and as soon as we have the responses from you all, we will close the test. So I would request Raman ma'am to end the session, and thank you everyone for making this a successful event. And I look forward for your support and cooperation in future ventures also. This would not have been possible without your cooperation and support and enthusiasm. Thank you to all participants, and special thanks to our dignitaries who joined us, and support from NSS headquarters. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Jyoti, for doing so wonderfully.
Thank you, ma'am. With your support only we could do it. As there is a query about the certificates, your certificates would be shared to you via email within a day or two, as soon as we have our post-test responses added to us. Thank you so much. I'll be ending the meeting as it is to be done from my side. Thank you so much, everyone. Keep in touch, and looking forward for your cooperation in future as well. Thank you. Thank you, Manjeet ma'am and Raman ma'am. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Have a pleasant afternoon.
Thank you, ma'am.